Washington, D.C. Archbishop Wilton Gregory is now a cardinal. He received his red hat from Pope Francis during an elevation ceremony in Rome this afternoon and becomes the first African American cardinal in Roman Catholic history. Here to talk with us about the Vatican ceremony and Wilton Gregory is Anthea Butler. She is a religious studies professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Professor Butler, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So Wilton Gregory becoming the first Black American to earn the rank of cardinal today. What is the significance of this, of him earning this rank after more than 2,000 years?
Well, it's amazing because we have never had an African-American cardinal. As I was saying to somebody on Twitter today, we've had African cardinals, but we've never had a person of African-American descent become a cardinal. And so for the American Church and for African-American Catholics specifically, this is a really big day, and it's a great day.
So
we're very happy.
Talk about the role for people who are not Catholic. How much power do cardinals actually hold, and what does this mean in terms of how the church is governed?
Probably the most important power that cardinals hold is the ability to elect the next pope. And so Wilton Gregory, because of his age, he's less than 80, will be able to vote the next time there needs to be a new pope. And so that's one of the things that they do. They're also bishops. So basically, it's a bishop being elevated to the position of cardinal. And so they have an archdiocese to run in this particular case. He is in the Archdiocese of Washington, D.C., which is a very important seat for cardinals. And while others may think that this is just another role within the church, I suspect that Cardinal Gregory's role will be a larger one besides the roles that cardinals do, because of the representation that he does and what he will represent for thousands, if not millions, of African-American Catholics, as well as Catholics in America and around the globe.
Yeah, I want to get into that a little bit because Pope Francis obviously has made more progressive pushes within the Catholic Church. He's reshaped the College of Cardinals. He's designated appointees from Latin America, Asia, Africa, and he's obviously paying attention to the racial dynamics here in the United States, the history of slavery and suppression in the Americas in general. Why do you think he's making this shift, and what does it mean for Catholics of color?
I think he's making this shift for two reasons. One, the vitality and life and the numbers of the church are actually in those portions of the world, whether we're talking about Latin America, Asia, Africa. So that's the first thing. He wants a church that is more representative and the leadership to be more representative of the more populous areas of Catholics around the world. Secondarily, I think he's very intrigued and actually thinking about the ways in which race and racism and poverty and all of these things are working together. And so even when this week, when the Pope called in the NBA players to come and meet with him in Rome, he's been very concerned about the racial situation here in America. And I think that the elevation of Cardinal Gregory is going to be one prong in the kinds of ways in which Pope Francis wants to push forward the issues of race and racism and how we need to heal for a more just world.
And lastly, what does this mean to you personally as someone who comes from a Catholic family?
Yeah, it's really important. I was saying today that I wish my grandmother was alive to see it, and my mother's very happy. And, you know, as a Black Catholic, we're often overlooked in the church. A lot of times we're just expected to, you know, say the prayers and be there on the pews. But we African-American Catholics have a very rich history in this country. That history is entwined with slavery. As one scholar put it today from Villanova, Shannon D. Williams said that it's important to think about Cardinal Gregory as being in this seat in Washington, D.C., where all the slaveholders used to be, where all the big Catholic slaveholders lived in the Washington, D.C. and Maryland area. So I think for Black Catholics, this is a big moment, and I'm really rejoicing today. I just wish I could have been there in Rome to see it.
And what are you hearing from other Catholics within the church of color or not?
I mean, everybody's pretty happy. I mean, I think that this is a moment. The church has a lot of problems, obviously, and there are things that need to be resolved. But I think for people who are both within and out of the church, African Americans and other ethnic groups, that this is an important movement to show that Pope Francis is thinking about having a more diverse church and having that representation of the church be more diverse and represent the populations that are sitting in the pews and parishes around the world on Sunday morning.
Professor Butler, thank you very much for joining us today. Appreciate having you.
Thank you for having me.